today's session about self-belief equation with Deborah Crowe, a certified executive and life coach. So Deborah's specialty is coaching leaders, executives, and their teams. Deb Crowe grew in Ontario, Canada. She has lived in many small rural communities across Ontario during her youth and moved to London, Ontario in 1980 at the age of 14, where she has resided ever since. Deb started her entrepreneurial journey at the age of 24. Deb is an out-of-the-box and innovative thinker who loves to learn and create. She's a true multipreneur. She has worked all over the globe across various sectors and prides herself on both executive and life coaching. Deb attended Buck University and the Richard Ivey School of Business for Entrepreneurship. Did I pronounce it well, Deb?
Yes.
Perfect. Deb is a lifelong learner and an avid reader. Deb has co-authored 4 books since 2015 and is currently working on her first solo book on self-care. Wow! Deb is the founder of the Women's Self-Care Conference. Deb has launched this conference in October 2018 and has taken it across Canada with a complete emphasis on self-care. Deb's coaching passion is helping individuals prioritize their time and attention. Life is about progression, moving forward, and not attempting to have perfection. Thank you so much, Deb, for being here. The stage is yours.
Thanks, Moojan, and congratulations on your global summit. And good morning, everyone. It's morning here, so greetings from Canada. I want to talk to you this morning about the self-belief equation. And I just want to have an open, warm conversation, and please feel free to jump in and ask questions at any time during the talk. So the self-belief equation, how and where does that come from? Self-belief is going to stem from many different areas in our life, and my goal for the next 30 minutes is to define that equation. So I encourage you to take some notes and just allow yourself time this morning to hear some of the strategies and then think about and ponder how you can integrate them into your own life. I wanted to start with a famous quote from Confucius, and I encourage you to write this down. Learn avidly, question it repeatedly, analyze it carefully, and then put everything that you have learned into practice intelligently. This is a global summit for women in AI, artificial intelligence, or machine learning. And many people have said to me, AI is coming, AI is on the horizon. AI is here. And think about your activities of daily living, and you will see how much artificial intelligence, also known as machine learning, that is in your daily lives. Manufacturing robots, smart assistants, protective healthcare management, disease mapping, automated financial investing, social media monitoring, inter-team chat tools. We've seen so many different modalities, especially this year with COVID-19 and working remotely. So how does all this fit into the equation? We need to develop some tools and strategies to put into your AI arsenal so that you have your toolkit. So the first layer to really developing your self-belief equation is to think about your own self-care. There's 6 areas in your life where self-care needs to be integrated. I don't like using the word balance because I think balance gives us an image in our mind of a scale, and that one side will be weighted and then the other side is not. For example, I've had a lot of my women executives say, I'm caught up at home and then I'm behind at work, or I'm caught up at work and then I'm behind at home. And since March 11th, we may have to have both of those environments at home. So we're talking about self-care, and there's 6 elements. So the first one is emotional, looking after your emotional self-care. We were talking about balance between home and work. And since March 11th with COVID-19, that's been pretty much the same environment for many of us around the globe. Our home office, we leave our home office and we're in our home. So that emotional self-care is the first part of self-care. And we're talking about how do we build the equation of self-belief. The second element under self-care is physical, looking after yourself, having a solid morning routine, moving your body and getting ready for the day. We have to get up and move from our chairs. We are all on technology even more so now. And again, with being home with COVID, it's even more crucial now that we get up and move at least 20 minutes a day, and frequent breaks throughout the day. I highly encourage whatever that looks like for you, because self-care is very, very personal. The third element of self-care is social. And this year again has given us a completely different equation of that, as a lot of us have not been able to see our family and our friends, depending on where you're located throughout the world. But like we're doing right now with technology, we have that virtual connection. So slating some time into your day every day to ensure that you're keeping with and really reaching out to your social connections, because it's an important element of our self-care. The fourth element is environmental. And a lot of people often say to me that they don't consider this. What is environmental self-care? It's your car. It's your home. It's your home office. It's the building you drive to that may be your office or that you're returning to. An unorganized space, your environmental self-care, if it's cluttered and disorganized, how can you have a mind of clarity to work with when you don't have organized spaces? So ensuring that your environments that you spend the most time in all have clarity so that you can work with clarity. The fifth element of self-care is spiritual. And this means different things to different people. So spiritual self-care, for myself personally, I meditate in the morning, and that's part of my routine. I often take frequent breaks through the day. I'm a big proponent of mindfulness. I try and get out and walk 2 to 3 times a day. So think about what that may be for you, or what you can integrate into your activities of daily living. The sixth and last element of self-care is mental. And again, this is looking after your mental health, and that's personal and different for all of us. So I want to review the 6 elements of self-care. It's the foundational layer to determining, assessing, implementing, and sustaining your self-belief equation. So emotional, physical, social, environmental, spiritual, and mental. Now, once you think about all of this, you can look at what I call the wheel of life, and I'm going to provide a link to Moojan so that I can share with you a free document, and you can do a self-audit of all the different areas of self-care within every area of your life that we spoke about. So I will make sure to get that to Moojan. The next thing I want you to think about is dreaming. I want you to dream as though you have nothing to lose. I want you to believe that anything is possible. And I want you to love, agape love that comes from your heart that has no bounds. And I want you to live as though there is only today. So let me put some context around that. When we're working on our own self-belief equation, it's very important to live in the cognitive space of now. And what I mean by that is we can think about yesterday in terms of memories and happiness, but if we bring anything from yesterday into today, it's not going to serve us. So living in the now is enjoying and embracing this moment right now in time. It's having clarity and intent for today. And we can't even really program ourselves or think about tomorrow because tomorrow's not promised. Yesterday, there's nothing we can do about other than reminisce on the memories. So I'm going to ask you, how many of you are living in the now that's attending this virtual conference right now? How many of you prepared yourself for a day of education and learning about women in AI on this beautiful global summit? How many of you have been intentional about your day today and allowing it to unfold as you planned it? Just think about how many of you take that time to find that clarity to really structure your day. Another element that I love for self-belief, and again, it's connected to the social part of self-care, is women empowering other women. When women support other women, magic happens. When another woman can step in and help another woman with a problem or a strategy, it doesn't matter what it is, and do it out of love, agape love from the heart, just doing it to help. We have an acronym, WIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me. If you live your life just helping for the greater good of others and not thinking about why you're doing it or a reciprocal value for you, that's when you really embrace and enjoy the joy in the journey. Another tool for your self-belief equation is language. So we're going to tuck another tool into your AI arsenal, and we're going to talk about language. Language is so important. I'm going to give you 3 words that I want you to write down. You're going to write them down and you're going to put a big X through them. There's 3 words that we use in the English language that is not intentional. The first word is busy. When you hear someone saying busy, busy is a fear-based word. It's a fear-based quick response. And when any of my executive coaching clients tell me that they're busy, my first question is, tell me all of the unproductive things you've been doing today. So busy has got to go out of your vocabulary. Put a big X through it. The next word is just. We are not just anything. When you are intentional, especially when you're working on your self-belief equation, just is not intentional. You are not just calling. You are not just emailing. You are calling, emailing. Whatever action you're taking must have intent. So lose the word just. Write it down and put a big X through it. The last word is sorry. So write down the word sorry, put an X through it. It's not intentional. I'm going to give you a perfect example. How many of you have met someone for a business lunch or dinner, and the person that you're waiting for is late? And maybe that person is you. You were running late because life is going to happen. So when you arrive to your guest who's been waiting for you, instead of saying, I'm so sorry I'm late and being harried, how about being intentional and saying, thank you so much for waiting. You weren't late on purpose, life happened. Maybe your mode of transportation, whether it was a bus or a train or a cab, maybe it got delayed for a certain reason. Maybe you're a working mom and your babysitter was late. Again, the intention is to greet the person with a smile. Thank you for waiting, because you don't need to apologize. Does that resonate with any of you? Are we going to get rid of those 3 words, busy, just, and sorry? No more. The next tool that I want to put in your AI arsenal is, do you want to be, or are you, a heart-centered leader? I get asked this question a lot, and I started a new podcast this year on heart-centered leadership. Everyone is a heart-centered leader. Heart-centered leadership is leading and having your mind and your heart aligned. Listening to people, attentively listening at such a well-honed level that you're not listening to respond. You're listening to step into that person's world and really understand what they are saying, because you are so attentive in your listening. It's one of the best skills and traits of a heart-centered leader. When you listen to someone speaking, you should feel their emotion. And you're listening to listen, not to respond. It is the most important aspect of being a leader and being a heart-centered leader, along with compassion and empathy. So if you're looking to hone your self-belief equation and consider yourself to be or want to be a heart-centered leader, I encourage you to listen more and speak less. It is one of the best tools. I invite you to join me every Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my Imperfect, the Heart-Centered Leadership podcast. I interview and meet the most amazing, phenomenal leaders all over the world, different countries, different ages. Leadership does not have any boundaries, my friends. So I encourage you to listen to these leaders, and I love to highlight how imperfect we all are, because part of our self-belief equation is knowing who we are, embracing our imperfections, and we work on being progressive each day, because I shared with you your cognitive address is living in the now. And when you live in the now and you're cognizant in who you are and you're confident, it allows your self-belief equation to just unfold. You have an amazing connection with people when you hone and have all these skills. Now, I want to deflate the elephant in the room. A lot of people ask me why they struggle with self-belief, why it's so hard to have self-belief. And there's 5 main reasons for that, and feel free to write them down. It's all stemming from how you view self, how you view your own worth and worthiness. You may judge yourself based on a situation that happened in your life, an experience that really took a toll, or something that happened to you at work. So the first one is, when we question our own worth and worthiness, it may be because we have unmet expectations of ourselves. I hear a lot of leaders say, I thought when I was this age, I would be here at such and such a level, in a certain job, with a certain role and responsibility, just unmet expectation of having a goal and not meeting it. And that's okay. As long as you keep moving forward, that's the key. The second element is comparison with others. You do not want to compare your worst against someone's best. When we compare ourselves to other people, it's just demonstrating our own lack of worth and worthiness, which is taking away and negating our own self-belief equation. The third one is a traumatic event. And unfortunately, we all have traumatic events throughout our lives. And this leads me to kind of a sub-point of this, grieving. As a nation, as a global community of citizens, we have all been grieving since the onset of COVID-19 on March 11th. And grieving is personal. So anything in addition that you or your family have gone through, there's no time lineage to grief. You have to work through it on your own time. You'll reach bereavement, and again, your heart and your mind will align again, but you cannot move forward with anything that's happened in your life traumatically if you don't take the time to go from grief to mourning. The fourth one is a secret, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And the fifth one, as a yoga teacher, I really, really want you to hear this. When you have a primary focus on doing and doing and doing, that busy word is in bright lights shining. You're doing, doing, doing. What if you stopped and allowed yourself to just be? What if you took some time in the morning to just be silent? There is power in silence. There is power in having solace and allowing yourself to be, not just be, because we're not saying just anymore. So if I just said that, I'm correcting myself. Just allowing yourself to be, to feel, to think, to ponder, to have clarity around who you are. These are all elements of your self-belief equation. I want to give you a few more things to think about, a list of 5. I always end my podcast with these 5 elements, and I think it's important and I wanted to share with you. The first one is follow your heart. And these are 5 elements to really put in your artificial intelligence arsenal to develop, maintain your self-belief equation. So number 1, follow your heart. Number 2 is have passion. Number 3 is do your best. That's all any of us can do every day. We just do our best. We progress forward. Number 4, know your truth. Know who you are. Know what you bring to your self-belief equation. Step into that confidence. And the last one is be in love with the journey. There is no destination, my friends. Living in the now. Remember that cognitive address I've mentioned to you? Living in the now is enjoying the joy in the journey. Good, bad, and indifferent. Because when you hone and develop your self-belief equation and you have clarity and mindfulness and a strong morning routine, you can handle anything that comes your way. So I see a question here in the chat from Indy. How can one move through grieving when the trauma is on repeat every day for the world to view? That's an excellent question, Indy, and I agree with you. And it's something that I struggled with at the onset of COVID-19. So I'm going to share with you my own personal strategy. You move through grieving when you give back to yourself, those self-care tools I talked about at the beginning of my talk. And I limit myself to the news, reading the newspaper, reading stuff online, watching the news on television. I watch enough, Indy, to stay informed, but not enough to take away from my own self-belief, my own self-care, or enough to really change my mood. Because when we don't have good emotional self-care, we don't have clarity, and we don't have focus that we need to bring to our activities of daily living, and we can't show up as our best self for the work that we do. So I hope that answers your question. I'm going to just pause here for a minute, Moojan, and just see if anybody has any questions.
Right. Thank you so much, Deb. I took so much and so many notes myself. There was a few people that they were requesting to share their audio and speak up. We have time now. If there's anybody who wants to have a live quick Q&A, this is possible. You just need to request the AV sharing, and we let you in the room.
So Karen's asking, could I give an example of how I've combined all the elements? Yes, I absolutely can. So I'll just share with you a typical day. So I have a strong morning routine that I do not waver from. I get up the same time each day. The first thing that I do is I meditate for 10 to 20 minutes, depending on what I'm feeling. I then have a gratitude journal, Karen. The one that I use is called a 5-minute journal. It's just a favorite one that I was gifted 4 years ago, and it literally takes 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night. What I love about it is I list 3 things that I'm grateful for. I list 3 things that I want to have as clarity for my day, 3 goals if you wish. There's an affirmation, and I have the same affirmation that I write every day. So again, affirmations are personal. So whatever your I am affirmation is. The other thing I love about it, Karen, is you come back at the end of the evening and you write how your day went. Did you get those 3 things done? I don't beat myself up or feel sad or less than if I didn't get 3 things done, because life will happen. I also exercise every day. Again, it could be walking, riding my bike, doing the elliptical, whatever movement you feel is good for you, because it's that physical self-care that I talked about. It's important. Also, getting up from your desk at least once an hour. So a great strategy for me is I drink a lot of water, because that's also part of my physical self-care, hydration, right? There's Moojan and I with our water. And it's an environmental part of your self-care as well, because you are looking after your environment, you're getting up from your chair, you're hydrating, everything is integrated. But the point that I want to drive home here, Karen, is there is no perfection. We progress through our day the best that we can, because life is going to happen, interruptions are going to happen, emergencies happen, trauma happens. And the secret sauce from this whole talk is how you choose to react, how you choose to process. Processing things with a logical mind, not an emotional mind, and then responding to them as best as you can with logic and not emotion. There is a place for emotion, but if you lead with logic, those analytical, those critical thinking skills, that is the best strategy that I would say, Karen, for getting through and having consistency in your day. Consistency over time is how we achieve small goals, and how we slowly chip away on the big ones. So consistency and routine is the summary of my answer there. Let's see, we got a couple other questions here. Thank you, Maza. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay. Ewa says, is it ever too late to start something new or within a new domain, as ultimately you will be much behind the others in terms of expertise level? Great question. First part of your question, it's never too late, because I shared with you your cognitive address is living in the now, and trying new things is how we get better, become a lifelong learner, have an open mind, be progressive. And when you said you'll be much behind, that was one of the strategies that we talked about for your self-belief equation. Don't compare yourself to other people. So you're not behind, you're just at the start of your journey. Do you see the difference in context and framing that? So you're not behind anybody else, because it's your journey, it's personal. This is your self-belief equation. So you're starting and you're exactly where you should be. If you can look at other women who might be farther down the road, I encourage you to ask them to mentor you. So you're not behind, you're exactly where you should be. Anna, you said know your truth. What is the best way to actually get to know it? Oh, I love this question. The best way is to get quiet. Meditation, solace, silence. The best way to know your truth is through clarity, and the only way you get to clarity is by silence and listening to inner self. When I've heard the expression, you've had a feeling in your stomach, or you had kind of an intuition in your gut. Your stomach, from a neuroscience perspective, is attached to the front of your brain. And the front of your brain is your frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe is 50% of your overall brain. So when you have those gut feelings, or you're feeling energy that it's not right or it doesn't feel right, that's your inner genius trying to speak to you. And I highly encourage you, get silent and listen to that, because intuition and intuition management, there's a place for that in our life. There's a place for that in our career. There's a place for it in our leadership, but we fight listening to it, where if we choose to get silent and we do listen to it, I guarantee you, you're going to live in the now, and it's going to take you to great places.
Asking an interesting question. So she's asking, thanks for the talk. Many of these tips are new, such as meditation. They have been around for 1,000 years. So why do you think we still struggle to follow them?
Oh, great question. And Jenny, you're so right. And I have a simple answer. Common sense is not common practice. And it all comes down to choosing how you want to live your life, to build your self-belief, and asking yourself why you don't do them. It doesn't matter what other people do. It's you making a conscious, intentional decision to make a choice to allow your day to unfold. And a lot of people struggle because of worth and worthiness, and those 5 things that I shared with you earlier. Well, and Iwa just made another good point back to Jenny's comment. Lack of commitment. If you start and become demotivated, it's lack of clarity. It's not just lack of emotion and motivation. If you don't have clarity for where you want to go, how can you optimally and effectively get there? You will have that start and stop because you're questioning your own worth and worthiness.
Thank you so much, Deb.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Great tips. So I'm just gonna maybe a little bit of summarize what my learning was today from this session. I wrote that for our own self-care, so basically there are 6 levels: emotional self-care, physical, environmental, spiritual, mental. So all these layers, they need to be together in order to allow us to have a proper, self-care for ourselves. You told us that we don't stop dreaming. Nothing, we don't have anything to lose. You told us to love, to have an open heart. Hi, Herman. Hello. You told us that we live like it's the last day of our life. You mentioned that women should empower other women, and this is a really, really strength that we have, so we really need to do that. Then you told us to cross 3 words, to cross busy, because it comes from fear based on quick response. You told us to remove, to not to use just in the right place. we should use just in the right place and not to use it just like that. And also remove sorry. Instead of saying sorry, you can thank the person and being realistic about what is happening. Then you told us that so basically 5 important things to think about it. You told us to follow our heart, and especially it's a very important thing when it comes to AI and ethics. We're talking, about a technology that it really needs to become more human. So those who are developing these technologies, they need to follow their heart and think about how these programs are impacting the whole world. He told us for the second point to have passion, to do our best, to know our truth, and to be in love with the journey. It's all about the journey in life. Um, yeah, this is amazing. Thank you so much. If
Oh, you're welcome. I want to leave you with a few more things. So when you think about your self-belief equation, I want you to realize how important of a quality it is to have as a woman, as a man, as a leader. I want you to take that important quality so you will reach your potential. And when you reach your potential, your confidence is exuded. It's there for everyone to see. And you do it with not feeling pressure, not feeling or succumbed by yesterday or tomorrow, by living in the now. And that confidence will shine. And that is how you can completely grow and unpack your self-belief equation, because women, I think, add so much value to any vocation, any industry, especially AI. AI is not new. We have been in AI for many, many years. I think the languaging is just starting to change. Just like marketing, AI has had intentional language, and we talked about that today. So just being your best. Don't forget to plan your week. You can do that on Sunday night. You can take 15 minutes and plan your week. Know when to start and stop, and really have good boundary management, and always take advantage of things that are near you. So things will change from week to week. Make sure you manage and have that social connection. That social self-care is so, so important. And there's some free self-care tools on my website. We can put the URL in the chat. And some of the things that we talked about today, you can download and work on them for yourselves. And I will get the Wheel of Life document to Moojan, and she can put it with the episode description. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this, and I encourage you to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always up for a good intellectual, stimulating conversation.
Thank you so much. That in fact, me and Deb, we met in each other during another conference, Women in Tech conference. So that was an honor for me to know you. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for getting up that early for us to perform this talk. And yeah, so when you give me the link, I'm going to post it on the events chat so you can check it out. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.